I'm an autistic person. I was diagnosed at the age of 37 and I'm 38. So recently diagnosed. I grew up as an undiagnosed level 2 autistic girl. And today I'm going to share with you three things that I wish my parents knew. Just for context of who I am, my name is Marcela Collier. I'm an autistic person. I have an autistic son. He's almost 9 years old. And I'm a certified parenting coach and founder of a parenting coaching agency, HIC Parenting. And 70% of our clients in HIC Parenting are either neurodivergent, ADHD, autism, or they have neurodivergent kids, autism or ADHD or OCD, etc. And my mission is to help as many parents as I can of sensitive kids raise their children with a lot more peace. So, if that's the kind of content that you want to have every single week, I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So, I'm going to share with you my experience because I wish my parents knew it, and I'm sure that as I share my story with you, that could put words to your child's experience and story. And it could put a lot of understanding on your end to see them, to see their strengths, to see their needs, to see who they really are and not what society tells them they should be or they could be. So, number one, I wish my parents knew I was not the labels they placed on me and others placed on me. I have high sensory needs. I mean, even now, I have the same sensory needs I had as a child, but now I have better coping strategies to deal with those needs. As a child, I did not have those coping strategies, so I showed my sensory needs. I lived it with a lot of meltdowns. So my parents lived a lot of meltdowns. Do you deal with a lot of meltdowns? Let me know in the comments. Yes, that's me. A lot of meltdowns up in here. The same thing with my autistic son. He has at least one meltdown a day, if not more. Okay? And it has nothing to do with that you're doing a bad job as a parent or that my parents were doing a bad job. It was me, my needs. It had nothing to do with them. Every time I do these, the screenshots, it had nothing to do about them. It had a lot to do with how I felt. Example, one of my sensory needs is the movement. Movement is a big thing for me. Things that move, I don't like it. When we go to Disneyland, the only thing that I can handle is Small World, and I need a break once we get off Small World. So, because sensory needs are hard to see, we may see our children reacting uh, um, out of proportion to things that others may not react. So my parents saw that a lot from me. I had car meltdowns every single car ride, even if it was just to go visit grandma that she lived 10 minutes down the road. I had car meltdowns. So I wish they knew I wasn't the labels. Why are you so dramatic? You see your cousin, she's next to you and she's not crying. Why are you so picky? The sensory needs made me a picky person, and I'm still picky. Why are you so picky? Why are you so dramatic? You are too much. I wish my parents saw my needs and not the labels they wanted to believe about me. Because I'm not any of those labels. The truth was that I was truly struggling with coping with sensory anxiety. And comparing me to my cousin who is neurotypical and has no problem being in a roller coaster, comparing me to her during a car ride is comparing apples to oranges. It's not, it doesn't do me any justice because our brains are different. We process the world differently. We live in our bodies differently. So I wish they knew I was not those labels. Number two thing that I wish they knew growing up as an undiagnosed autistic girl, I wish they knew their source of my comfort was heavily reliant on them. The days that they were, my mom especially, because my dad was not that present, but the days that she was more anxious, more reactive, more impatient with me, those were the days I struggled the most as an autistic girl. Because, and this is a myth that I want to debunk here, people think that us autistic people don't have empathy because we don't show empathy. When empathy is not showing empathy is sympathy. When you say, "Oh, you're feeling sad, I'm sorry," that's sympathy. Empathy is truly feeling how another person feels and taking that feeling with you. Is empaths. Empaths. A lot of us autistic people are empaths to the point that we get really affected to how regulated or dysregulated the other person is, especially if that person is our caregiver. So the days that my mom was not so patient, that she was yelling, that she was short, that she was rushing me to get out of the house fast, those days were the days I struggled the most with my behaviors because I felt her. I'm a big empath. My empathy is so intense that it almost overwhelms me. And a lot of autistic people say that. I feel so much empathy. I feel so much the other person that it overwhelms me. So it is true in general. As a parenting coach, I know this that it is true that autistic or not, a child will feed off on the parent's energy. The difference is the degree in which they're feeding off the parent's energy. My degree of feeding off on my mom's energy is high, 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 high. And I see it with my twins. I have twins. One of them is non-autistic and the other one is autistic. And the autistic one feeds on my energy at a higher degree level. And I noticed that since he was a newborn. The other one is able to ride with the flow a lot easier and to not take on my energy a lot easier. So, if you want to raise your sensitive neurodivergent kid with a lot more peace, commit to become a secure parent, to commit to become a parent who they find comfort in and who's stable. Not a wishy washy parent who's 50% of the times they're warm, connected, understanding, and 50% of the times they're reacting and yelling, or 70% of the times they're regulated and yell and connected, and 30% of the times the child is afraid of them. I know this is hard because it's hard to break cycles, and that's exactly what we help parents with in HIC parenting. If you are in this inconsistent pattern, it's not because you're a bad parent. It's because it's hard to break out of this pattern being raised in it. It takes a clear roadmap and it takes professional guidance. I have a clear roadmap for you. It is a 4-step roadmap that I give all my coaching clients to break free from this reactivity so they can raise their sensitive kids with peace. And I teach this roadmap to my coaching clients and in my free class that you can access right now in hicparenting.com. hicparenting.com. That's my website. I'm going to leave a link or a card up here of the video, or is the link is in the description below. So you can start feeling a lot calmer and stable and provide that safety for your autistic child or possible autistic child. Number three thing that I wish my parents knew growing up as an undiagnosed autistic girl. I wish they knew it's not that I didn't want to listen to them. It's that I struggled with demand avoidance. And there is pathological demand avoidance that's actually a diagnosis. And there is, demand avoidance that a lot of neurodivergent kids struggle with. And I struggle with that growing up. So, what is demand avoidance? When we feel an expectation on us, we freeze and we don't know what to do with that expectation. And we just don't follow the expectation, not because we don't want to, but because we're frozen. We don't know what to do with it. And I still see demand avoidance in my life as an adult. When my husband calls me and he says, "Hey, Marcela, could you please take the chicken off the freezer so it's thawed out for when I get home?" And he's the one who cooks dinner. So it's thawed out when I get home. I might say yes to that, but that doesn't mean I will follow through. Not because I don't want to. I want the chicken to be ready. Not because I don't want to, but because I don't know. It's like when there is a demand of me, I freeze. I wish my parents knew that what really helped me was not to place demands on me, but to help me create a routine and a lifestyle that where I had control, where I had a say. What helps me best is if my husband maybe says this, "Hey, Marcela, I'm going to cook dinner tonight and the chicken's still in the freezer. We need to take it out so it thaws out." And then for him to tell me, "Hey, how can you remind yourself? How can you remind yourself to take it out of the freezer?" That will help me a lot better than just him placing the demand on me that I need to take it out of the freezer right now because he said. What helps me best is for me to have control over that. And that has an explanation too on me as an autistic person struggling to switch task. So let's just say that I'm writing an email and I get a phone call from my husband to take the chicken out of the freezer while I'm writing the email. Well, my autistic self doesn't allow me to just have a little pause, go do it real quick, and come back to keep writing the email. No, I have to keep writing the email until I write the emails. And not just that, I have to write the email, send the email, and check the rest of the inbox because that's the plan that is in my head. Is your autistic child like that? They have a plan in their head and they won't let go of it until it's completed. Even if you say, "Hey, like just leave it, like it's okay, like you don't have to keep building that tower, it's time to shower," they will gonna keep building that tower until it's done. That's what feeds demand avoidance. So it's not that I wasn't it wasn't that I was defiant as I was labeled. I struggle with initiating and ending tasks and demand avoidance. So those are the three things that I wish my parents knew growing up as an undiagnosed autistic girl. I wish they knew I was not labels. I wish they knew that their level of emotional regulation and being safe is like, I wish they knew I fed up a lot on their own level of emotional regulation. And I wish they took this free class to become secure parents for me. And number three, I wish they knew I wasn't defined. I was just struggling with demand avoidance and the skill of initiating and ending tasks, which is one of my support needs as an autistic person. If this video helped you understand your autistic child a lot more, we just share it with one person. Just share it with an autism parent or with an autistic parent and let them know, hey, I wish I think our children need us to know this too. Because we can always raise secure neurodivergent children. I'll see you next time.